Okay, looks like we're live right now. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I'm kind of flat. Me and Edgar were just talking. We were waiting for B Money to come in, but B Money's a little bit preoccupied, so he'll just jump in when he can. I won't, you know, it's been a crazy week. We weren't able to get out on Friday, but we're here today on Sunday. And being that the Hall of Fame game has been canceled, we will try to do our best to make sure that you guys are entertained tonight. We have a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And hopefully you guys can chime in with your comments and your thoughts and give us a few questions at the end. So let's begin. Thank you for listening to the Inner Circle podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KLRX Kal-El, and with Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody, Anchorman here.
And, of course, B Money 101, who will be joining us shortly. We are the Inner Circle podcast, and you are on Planet Xbox. You know, it's funny. We've been doing this Planet Xbox thing for a very long time. A lot of people don't understand what Planet Xbox is or why I call people Exponites. And before I start the show, I want to do a little quick thing on that and why I kind of created this persona of sorts with myself as Kal-El and, you know, being on Planet Xbox things. The reason why I did that is because at the time when we started taking podcasts, Xbox was at such a low point. You know what I'm saying? It was at such a low point, and so many people were bashing it, and then you had a few select podcasts out there that were really carrying the torch. You know, started with BGST. You had Anchorman, of course. You had the We Game Here guys and their crew back in the day. And then we started up with Tick Podcast. And then, of course, you had a ton of other people. But, you know, everybody had their own shtick. And for us, we just wanted to make it about Xbox. You know, if you came to this channel, you were on a different world. That's what we wanted it to be about. You know, we wanted you to be on Planet Xbox. Everything here, when you step into this room, when you listen to this show, is about Xbox. And of course, we'll talk about the other consoles here and there every once in a while. But for the most part, the focus is Xbox and about the Xbox community and how great it was and how great the console is and our opinions. And obviously, the fans listen to the show's opinions as well. So everybody was calling people, you know, Xbox and everything like that, and I felt like we were on a different world. It was only right that we were called different things, and Exponites just fit in. And being Kal-El, you know, and considering myself the hero of Xbox and from another world, being the character Superman is an alien in itself, it just all fell in place. So that's what Planet Xbox comes from. When you come here, you're on a different world, and that's what we want to try to present. And I think that's really cool, and I hope that people like that. So, listen, I want to jump right into Microsoft's October event, which is huge. If nobody has noticed, Phil Spencer came out recently and talked about having an event later in the year to talk about some things. And I got on Microsoft early, like pretty early, when they were talking about Gamescom and not showing up. I was very disappointed in that. A lot of people was like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. No, it was a big deal. It really was a big deal. I don't know why people was blowing it off, but it was a big deal. Microsoft not showing anything in, you know, for either next year or even, you know, in the future, you know, was kind of disappointing because when we went to E3, we saw what they had, but we knew. And don't get me wrong, they showed State of Decay, which now I understand is not an MMO. It's actually a 4-player co-op game, but that's great in itself, having 4-player co-op in that. And showing off, you know, I think, what was the newest game that they showed there anyway? Like the newest one that they showed. You remember, Anchor?
I don't actually. E3?
Was it Dead Rising, I think, right?
Yeah, Dead Rising was the new announcement, but that was kind of leaked a little bit beforehand.
Right. We already knew Horizon Zero, I'm sorry. We already knew Forza Horizon 3 was going to be there because they're alternating between that and Forza. I can't think of anything up top of my head.
New stuff that they, in terms of games that they showed, mostly because they were really plagued by leaks at E3. That was the biggest disappointment of everything, just all the leaks that came out.
It's funny that you say that because I just was talking about that like right before E3. I was like, man, it's been great. Microsoft hasn't leaked anything. Nobody knows what's going to happen at the Microsoft conference in the week before. everything comes out, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so disappointing. And then you had the Scorpio buzz and the Slim buzz and Neo buzz, and it was insane. The week leading up to E3 was insane, absolutely insane. We had B Money with us. B, what's up?
What's happening, man? I'm back. I'm back
That's,
in the building, man.
sounds good, man. The team is back together, man, forming up like Voltron. Um, yeah, but it just was funny. So them having this event in October is a big deal to me. It's a very big deal because I think now they have something to show. They might not have something to show then at Gamescom, which is I think what is it, this week coming up. They wouldn't have had anything to show here, at least not presentable enough. But October, that's 2 months out. Man, not even 2 months out. Probably, August, September. So about 2 months out. By the time October comes, you should have some polish on whatever it is you're going to show. I'm excited about it. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, at least the placement of it all. I mean, because it's going to be, since it's going to be in October, do we have like a specific date yet, or just October?
No, I'm just hearing October. That's what
I think it'll be right before Gears releases, because Gears is also coming out in October, right?
Right.
I think they would try to go coincide it, use it as a little marketing PR stuff for the game, just a little bit more. But what I'm thinking that what they'll do is they'll use kind of how remember last year with Gamescom, they used Gamescom as this is what we're talking about for the new games coming out later, but they're trying to say like, oh, the new age starts with Gears.
Gotcha. Yo, Gears looks impressive.
October after Recore's already come out, and after a couple. Like most other games will already be out by then, like Horizon 3.
Yeah. B?
Man, I've been so out of loop. I didn't even know they were having an event. I've been running around with my kids and doing all this family stuff that I haven't even had a chance to get into gaming or even know what's going on. So it's pretty exciting to know that they are actually going to host an event since there wasn't going to be anything at Gamescom.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. I got a feeling they may show some rare stuff. Here's the thing. Look, Microsoft is doing this whole thing with the what is it called again? The FanFest, which we stood out in line for and didn't get nothing forever.
Oh, come on, we did a good thing. We gave our tickets away to some fans who were out there. We did a good job.
Let me tell you something. First of all, you left early. I don't want to hear nothing from you.
I gave my ticket away, and that ticket was a winner.
You did. That is true. You did give your ticket away, and it was a winner. Me and B was out there to like 4 a.m. or something like that, and we didn't even get a pass. That sucked. But the cool thing was at least Mike Ybarra hit us up and was like, hey, you meet me there, and we'll let us in. That's connects. That's connects out the wazoo when you can hit somebody up, and they're like, hey, just come through. Unfortunately, we didn't do it because he had a prior engagement. He couldn't make it, so we weren't able to get in. But regardless of all that, man, it was pretty VIP status up there at E3.
Really dope.
Yeah, no, definitely dope. I can't wait for next year. But the Microsoft event they got coming out should be big. Now, I don't know if they're going for this X10, X16 type thing that they're trying to do, bringing back these Xbox conferences. If they do, I think it'd be really, really big if they were able to do that. I think it's really important that they do this. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything like Sony's event. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind if they did this all the time. If you're going to do an event like this, the thing that I don't like what Sony does with their events is that they try to make it like a meet and greet. It's like you want to meet the people there, the developers and the fans, but they never really show anything that wows you at the PSX, like the PS experience. I
think they'll definitely change that because of the letdown from last year. We'll have to see what they do this year. But I think their initial idea behind that was just to bring gamers together, but there are a lot of people complaining about it, so I think they may switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because I think when you do an event like this, that's your own event, you should really wow people. Like E3 is great to wow people. That's a press event. That's a worldwide thing. You got people coming from China, Japan, Germany, all coming to the States.
We even met that one guy from Saudi Arabia who went all the way out there just to talk about his game.
Yeah, no, that was
this was out there trying to sell it.
That was big. We'll work something out with that guy and try to get him on the show at some point. We still have his business card and everything like that, and that's great. You know, you have developers out there that are unknown trying to make a name for themselves come out to E3. You have people who are trying to get passes in the E3 just coming from around the world. What we had one dude come from South Africa. Do you remember that at FanFest? One dude from South Africa flew all the way over to the States to try to win a pass. Win a pass. Could you imagine if you lost? The trip back to South Africa will be a very disappointing trip. Not let alone disappointing. You got to go back disappointed and hot because Africa's hot as hell. So you know it would have been disappointing. But yeah, man, it's insane. Now I'm trying to figure out what they will show at this event. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I mean, like I said before, I think it's mostly going to be new stuff that's set up pretty much for the year of 2017. Everything from late 2016 to basically the next, if they're going to do the Xbox conference on a regular basis, everything from that 1 year statement. Basically, I think they'll show Crackdown there, specifically Crackdown, because they have not shown anything. They didn't show anything for it, and I think they're doing what Sony did last year, where they're kind of skipping everything else, and to an extent, it kind of sucks because I was kind of hoping that Gamescom would become more of a force to be reckoned with, at least with people over, and they'll get more attention, they'll get more access to bigger games, because the bigger the conference, the more attention that will be given towards it. And last year was a good example of having Gamescom be a real success because of people giving it all the attention, like Call of Duty being announced there and displayed there, a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened because it seemed like Gamescom was on its way to being like another E3, and all of a sudden all the big manufacturers just pulled out. Just weird to me that they're not, not weird that they're not going to show anything, but usually you would be, I guess, better prepared or planned out for that.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remember that, they're still going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
They're still going to have a presence. They're just not having a conference. And when you think about the conference, in most cases, they do that for the press. So, if you don't have any crazy announcements or anything like that, then it's kind of unneeded. You want to put your games inside the hands of all the gamers that are going to be there. You got to think this is the biggest event where, it's kind of open to the public. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the most gamers possible will be able to touch your games that are coming out for the next year or so. So, not having a conference, it kind of sucks, but having the presence there and getting the games inside of the gamers' hands is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I would think so. Microsoft has literally turned the ship around. They've done a great job in turning everything around, making everything, putting everything in a positive light, especially with the Xbox One Slim. Being able to show off maybe some games that have HDR at that event, some upcoming games that may have HDR and they can run in 4K and things like that. I don't believe they'll say anything about Scorpio. I think they won't say nothing about Scorpio until next E3, which I cannot wait to go to. I'm like super hyped for next year's E3 now. But it's just funny that suddenly they had this event out of the blue, and I'm glad that Phil announced it on Twitter. And that, they didn't try to hype it up like this amazing, crazy event. I'm sure at some point as they get closer and closer, they'll start making, little announcements and tweets about it and putting, videos up on Xbox and stuff like that. But I'm just glad that it's not being blown out of proportion. So that way, if we do watch the show, we're not disappointed at the overhype. And I think it's smart that Microsoft is doing that. I really do. So I'm excited for it. As soon as we get a date, we'll let you guys know. You guys keep your eyes posted to TICGN. It will definitely be up there. Or make sure you follow at Take Game Network on Twitter or at TIC_podcast on Twitter for the latest news coming out of Xbox. With that being said, man, the Xbox Slim has come out and done a remarkable job at turning the tide for the Xbox in a way that I didn't even expect. I did not expect the Xbox Slim to be as popular and received such a great reception from all media personalities and all fans. It's even turned some of the PlayStation guys and Xbox haters into actually purchasing an Xbox Slim. I'm completely flabbergasted by this.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of waiting to see how the long-term response is. I mean, like, the same concerns I have with the PS4, the same concerns I have with the Xbox Slim in terms of, like, having the external battery case, I can't even think what it's called, the external power source, in the actual box. I'm a little hesitant about that. I mean, I have really no reason to be suspicious about it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of waiting around to see how that goes. But yeah, the media reception has been absolutely stunning. It's been funny trying to watch people find a problem with it, and like all the problems with it. I mean, I use air quotes here. All the problems are like, oh, now it's harder for me to plug in the Kinect. You mean the Kinect everyone complained about the last time that nobody wanted?
Agreed.
And then stuff like, oh well, you know, if you already have an Xbox, there's really no point, I guess, if you already have it, if you don't have a 4K TV.
It's funny that you say that.
That's something you could say.
It's funny that you say that because so many media personalities and so many people had written about why getting a Slim is pointless and how Microsoft killed the Slim because of the announcement of Scorpio. And Phil came out and said, you know, the people that did that don't really understand, you know, what they were trying to do and how all of this works. And it shows that they did not undermine the Slim and they did not undermine the release of it. And the Xbox Slim beat back the media. And that's remarkable. It's remarkable in itself. I'm still on the fence about getting one because I want to get the Scorpio. I have a 4K TV, but I don't have HDR on my TV. So I'm still on the fence about getting one. But if I do get one, oh man, I probably would definitely do an unboxing and I would definitely be showing it off on the channel. And you know, probably trade my Xbox in for it, my OG Xbox in for it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think you know, Anchor brought up the power brick thing. I actually didn't mind the power brick because the one thing you have to think about is you know, living in the Midwest, there's always storms and stuff like that. So if you ever have a power surge and with the internal power brick, you could actually kill your system quicker than if the power brick was external power brick. So that is one thing to consider. But as far as the Slim and the overall reception, I think it's been great. I didn't pick up a Slim initially because you know I did talk about how I didn't want a white one. But you know, as soon as they announced the Gears one, I was all over that. So I'll be picking that one up. I think it releases October 4th or October 7th, something like that. So I'll pick it up then. But
you said what, Anchor?
Oh, I was saying, yeah, it's releasing closer to the Gears release date.
They should have had a Record box. A Record box? Oh my God, that would have been so sick. I'm sorry. Could you imagine if like the Xbox logo was like the face of the dog? How dope would that have been?
They have it like a core.
Yeah, it would have been the core.
Yeah, a core, right? On the Xbox. Oh my God, why didn't they think of that? They don't have faith in Record.
I can see it now. Like what you do is like if you looked at the current Xbox currently, if you look at the like the actual sheet part of it, the part that's flat without the grating for the vents, like have it had to be like this like a rusted metal but like a yellow paint job over it, and then all the lights on the console are actually like blue or something.
That would have been so fire. That would have been so fire. I just don't. You know what's funny about this generation with Xbox and Microsoft? They aren't like last gen. I think Don Matrick was like, the hell with it. We're just going to come out with as many multiple different consoles that we can sell as much as possible. It doesn't matter what we put on it as long as we put something out that is unique in itself. And this generation, they haven't taken that approach as much. They've had a few here and there, mainly with their big first-party games, Gears, Halo,
When
Forza.
they do it looks dope.
But that's what I'm saying. To me, they should have released that Fallout 4 Xbox.
Oh, the pit box.
Oh my God, people would have went crazy over that. And I could imagine them putting out a Recore box, especially for a new IP like Recore. You know, you have a female protagonist, you got the color scheme and stuff like that. It doesn't have to make sound or anything, but it would have just been dope if they did that. A white box, you know, you could have had Jewel on the front, the dog on the side, or something like that. It just would have been badass if they would have pulled that off, man. It's just funny that they haven't done it. But you know, at the end of the day, Microsoft has really stepped their game up when it comes to their console production, and I really like the design of the S. I think they did a good job. I hope that the Scorpio follows suit. I really, really do, because I think it's really important that it does. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think with the Scorpio, I don't think we'll see that many custom consoles for it. I think we'll see faceplates come back or something like that. Like
No.
official support.
No, they ain't bring no damn face plates back, man.
Face plates? Are you crazy?
No, because like why? Like, okay, I want to see like okay, if this thing is $600, and let's say they release like an original. Let's just say it's white. Let's just say it's a white console or something like that, and you spend $600 on that. Would you go out and buy a new Scorpio for $600 just so you could have a different little look on top of it?
Here's the thing, though. I think the Scorpio will come with an Elite controller. I think it will. I don't think it's going to come with a regular controller.
I
think it
definitely
should. If you're going to spend $600 on a console, which I think it will be $600, you put the Elite controller in there. You give us a premium everything. You know what I'm saying? You put the Elite controller in there. You give us the Scorpio. You can even throw in that little $50, Xbox headset that they have. I don't know how that might make it go up some, but I'm just saying, if you did something like that or some type of premium headset in the box with the console and you sold it for $600, people would buy it day one. The value would be insane. You're getting the most powerful console ever created. You're getting the top of the line controller on the market, and you're able to get a decent quality headset. And and then of course, with all that being said, if they decide to make the console smaller, more compact, they figured out how to put the brick in the console. I don't mind the big fan. I think the big fan is smart. Honestly, it spins slower, but it's quieter. And that's really important. You don't have to suck in as much air at a rapid rate because you're trying to make everything too small and you give it a small fan. That's the PS4's problem. So I could imagine if they made it slim. If you thought the PS4 was noisy now, that thing's going to be like a wind turbine if they make it slim. Forget it. So I just really think that it's important that, when they come out with the Scorpio, that the design is sleek so it can appeal to the European market. It's already going to appeal to the Western market regardless, and they continue to put a solid fan or liquid cooling system in there for whatever they're trying to do when it comes to 4K gaming. Add an Elite controller, and you are talking about a premium product that nobody's competing with right now.
Yeah, I think they definitely have to show value with the box. We see people are running out buying the S, and that's great. But and until they start to explain, what the value is of the Scorpio, it's just another Xbox to the general consumer. So I think they really have to show value and really have to explain what the benefit of Scorpio is over the previous two Xboxes that they released.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest with you, and I just read something. General Mike was saying something that he believes that the Scorpio should come with a removable internal drive. Now that's cool and all, pop in, pop out. But for some apparent reason, I just prefer the externals. The thing about Sony and PlayStation, and it's just two things that I don't like about PlayStation that people do like about PlayStation. One, I don't like the fact that the battery and the controller is internal. A lot of people love that. I don't. I like being able to keep my controller wireless and swap out my battery. Whether I have rechargeable batteries or rechargeable battery pack, I always have a pack charged. It doesn't matter. I don't have to plug anything up to keep playing my games. I don't have to worry about that. And the other thing, oh man, I just lost it. The other thing was, I can't believe I lost it in that short amount of time. I literally had two things in my head and I just lost the second one. It was the controller that I wasn't a fan of.
And internal power brick?
No, was it the power brick? Was it the power brick?
Maybe. I mean, that's what makes the jet noises because it's compensating for it.
No, I don't think it was the power brick. It was something else. I can't think off the top of my head right now. I had it and I lost it. I can't believe I lost it. I'm getting old. I'm getting old. I'm just going to blame it on old age. But, yeah, the hard drive. That's what it was. And I don't like the fact that they have not the SSD. Obviously, that's nice. But when you take that drive out, you're losing memory. That's what people tend to forget. You got to go through the process of unscrewing it, popping it out. You got games on there that if you want to play it, you got to pop it back in. I just like the externals. I like plug it in, 2 external hard drives, having them off to the side, and having 3-4 terabytes on my console and just playing the games without worrying about removing, adding, unscrewing. It's plug and play. I can take those things with me anywhere I want to go. To me, it's the perfect setup, and I hope they continue it. I just hope that they put in a bigger hard drive. I think they put in a 1 terabyte with the Scorpio, and we could use the hard drives that we already have that are compatible.
I think it'll be 2 terabyte.
Oh, I think 2 terabytes is going to make it too expensive.
No, the terabytes are the hard drive stuff. That's not as much because I mean, look at the pricing model they're doing right now. It's like $50 more for an extra terabyte on the.
That's what I'm saying. But you're not thinking about the internal.
You gotta think long term though too. Like that's just immediate pricing. But by next year, I'm sure they'll take a loss to have a bigger hard drive.
They're already going to take a loss. It's going to be the most powerful console on the market with the latest tech. You add 2 terabytes in there. Let's just say, for example, they just put in a regular controller. Let's just go with the basic setup: a regular controller, a plastic headset, and the console itself. And then you throw in 2 terabytes on a Scorpio that probably is already going to be about $500 or $600 by itself just because of the internal parts alone. There's no way that it'll be like almost $700 if they did that.
They cannot go backwards though. They can't go backwards.
I'm saying you put in a 1 terabyte, you good. Throw in another terabyte, that's a bit much.
You can't go backwards, man. You already released a 2 terabyte.
Yeah, there's already a 2 terabyte system.
You can't go backwards.
Automatically sold in that position.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it'll be cheap. Well, it'll be cheaper by next year. Yeah, that's true. By 2017, the end of 2017, 2 terabytes should be about $50 or $89 at the most. Maybe they can fit it in somehow. Do they go with an SSD or do they stick with what they have?
I bet they go solid state.
One of the biggest issues they have is downloading games and it not being cache. So the games take forever to download. I wonder if they fix that this time around, similar to what Sony does, where they kind of cache games quickly and everything downloads super fast, and you're up and playing before you know it. Whereas it takes, if you have 5 megs per second, oh my God, forget it. It'd take you all day to download a game. Halo probably took people almost 48 hours in some countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially if you have a data package. You know what I mean? A lot of your data gets throttled towards the end of the month and stuff like that, so that could take you forever.
Yeah, it could take you forever. I don't think people really want that. Yeah, man, but I think they should definitely go with the SSD and the Scorpio as well. But, back on subject, man, I think the Slim, they've done a great job with that. It's combated the media. It's proved a lot of people wrong, and I'm glad Microsoft is back on the right track, and that's a compliment to the team. And congratulations to those guys on their success, and I can't wait to get some of the people on the show coming up. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited when we start popping these guests up on the show over the coming months. So stay tuned to Tick Podcast. Tick Podcast is back, and we're better than ever. Moving on. Now, listen, this is big for me. I don't care what anybody's talking about right now. Blue Dragon is going to be backwards compatible on the Xbox One, if it's not backwards compatible already. This is major. This is major for me. Okay, as a JRPG head, I've been in the worst drought you can possibly think of. Withdrawal is not even a word to me at this point. And seeing that new game Lost Soul aside, that's the game that I talked about on Super Pod Shots. Listen, if you have not seen this game, it's like it's not even a game actually. It's a guy, it's a one person. He worked on it. He was inspired by Final Fantasy and all the Square Enix games and things like that. And it's something that it's an eternal project he's been doing. But it plays and looks like a game. It's like nothing you've seen before. The amount of speed and pace, it looks like a CGI cutscene. And while he's playing the game, it's absolutely beautiful and stunning. And I'm super excited for the game. But at the same time, I've been going through withdrawal. So getting Blue Dragon is a big deal to me. And I think Lost Odyssey follows suit.
Yeah. I don't know. Those kinds of games, it's kind of, you have to see what the deal is behind it. Like with Red Dead Redemption, that one was pretty much, I guarantee that was a legal issue about whether or not Rockstar wanted to do it, and they're like, do we want to have it? Do we want to remaster? What do we want to do with it? Do we want to make it a pre-order bonus? I bet that was mostly a political law kind of thing going on. But Blue Dragon, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that one. Again, I also don't know much about it, so.
I think it has to. Go ahead.
I think it has a little bit to do with who worked on the game and things like that, the licensing issues that may have come with it, because I think it's kind of puzzling that those games, in particular Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, and some of the other earlier games that were on the 360 still aren't backwards compatible.
It's funny that you say that because Red Dead Redemption was actually in Rockstar's latest financial call. That the surge of people that bought the game backwards compatible made such an impact that it actually had an impact on the financials for Rockstar. That's a big deal. You look at games like Black Ops when they came out and it shot up like 3,000% on Amazon. How are people not looking at those top games out there and not making them backwards compatible? You could make an extra chunk of change off the fans who are dying to play these games on the Xbox One. And I know a lot of people could say, hey, it's pretty sad that people are playing old games, no one's playing the new games. You know how the fanboys do. But listen,
the demand there.
That's what I'm saying. They're there. You know what? They would not complain if they had it easy as Xbox does. If you didn't have to worry about paying, or you can go on and buy the disc super cheap and just upload it and play the game naturally on the console with no problems, no streaming, no nothing, nobody would say anything. But it's always like that when you don't have something, then you complain until you get it. Then you're happy. It's just the natural order of things. So, Lost Odyssey has to follow suit, man. That's the one I'm waiting for. I'm going to play Blue Dragon. But Lost Odyssey has to follow suit, and Tales of Vesperia has to follow suit. I'm sorry. I need to play Tales of Vesperia. It's the one game that I got to the end and I did not beat. I did all this work and did not beat that game because the boss was kicking my butt at the end, and I was stuck. It was just one of those games where it's like, if you didn't have multiple saves, you were screwed. And I messed up, and I didn't save properly, and I couldn't go back. I was stuck, and I didn't beat the game. I wound up trading it in, so I really hope that game comes over to the Xbox. But that's a big deal. That means that multiple disc games are now, and they had been for a while because we've had Mass Effect, but multiple disc games and Deus Ex, multiple disc games are now backwards compatible. That's a big deal. That is a big deal.
The other thing I don't really understand about this either is that EA and Microsoft has such this close relationship, and there's still a great deal of EA titles that are not backwards compatible either. So I'm not sure what's actually going on behind the scenes, but there's definitely more games should be added per month, or however they're doing the update than there is.
There are 2 games that I want backwards compatible, and I will be pretty much set because I damn near have every game that I actually play consistently on my Xbox. My library has exploded with BC titles. And I haven't even installed them because I would have no more room on my hard drive. But the two games I want that I own that are BC is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which they need to hurry up with that because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is amazing. You know what I'm saying? My team of Spider-Man, Cyclops, and Wolverine, I'm OP. I'm OP with that team. That's my squad right there. So I need my Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And a lot of people slept on this game, but Super Puzzle Fighter was fire. A lot of people slept on Super Puzzle Fighter, and I had that for Xbox 360. And I hope that they bring Super Puzzle Fighter over as well, man. I don't really like the request list thing because the majority rules and the majority is basically just casuals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
majority a bunch of idiots.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they always voting for things that don't have substance. This is like your basic shooter or your basic. I mean, Red Dead is an amazing game. Skyrim is an amazing game. That's without question. But I'm just saying, there's classics out there like Marvel vs. Capcom, really great puzzle games like Super Puzzle Fighter, which I thought is amazing, as well as a few others. Man, I hope those games come over. Man, it'd be really dope.
I just want to see Fight Night champions come over. It's been a while since we had a boxing game. UFC isn't doing their thing, but there's still a great deal of us guys out there that appreciate the boxing sport. So love to see Fight Night champions make its way over, man.
Yeah, Fight Night would be big as well. Or maybe even the Def Jam series, man. Like, think about all those games. You got they brought over Tricky. Didn't they bring over SSX Tricky?
Yeah,
So
they did.
that was a part of the big series. Remember the big series from EA? They had like Def Jam, and they had NBA Street. They had Hoops. They had NFL, not Blitz. It was like
Yeah,
NFL.
they had the NFL Street.
NFL Street. They had a whole bunch of stuff, man. It was crazy. EA, man. They had some really fun games. They really need to bring back. I know a lot of people will be clamoring for them and stuff like that. And they need to continue to work with the Japanese market because it was a ton of Japanese games, a lot of shoot 'em ups that haven't been brought over yet. There's a lot of games on 360. Was an amazing console. When you really think about the 360, a lot of people talk about they had the same games over and over and over again. But when you really think about what 360 had, but third party and exclusively, even in the indie aspect, they had a lot of amazing games, man. It is definitely one of the best consoles. If you take away Red Ring of Death, it probably is top 3 best consoles of all time. Definitely. It was an amazing console. It really was. So we're getting close, man, to the end of the show. I didn't want to make it a very long show tonight, but I definitely want to make sure that you guys got to take podcasts back up and on your radar. Very quickly, guys, what is your thoughts on Prey in a new direction?
Good.
Okay. I mean, it's short and simple. B?
Well, this was a game I talked about the most when we left the Bethesda conference. I was super excited when they revealed it again. I like the direction that they're taking it. It looks really good. So I'm ready for it, man. Dishonored looks really good too. We'll get that this year, but pretty excited for Prey. But Bethesda got a couple of games that I'm interested in for next year. So we'll see what it does, man.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
My thing with Prey is like I never got to play the first one. I watched a good chunk of it. I remember it was one of the games that my cousin had when I was a kid. I remember watching enough of it to get a general gist of it. And we're kind of living in this. First of all, understand how Bethesda works. They have a bunch of old IPs nobody wants or no one's used in a long time, and at a certain point you got to say, all right, do you want to continue with a number sequel or are you gonna kind of start fresh? And I mean, like Fallout was a very similar kind of situation when it came out in 2008, Fallout 3, where they decided, all right, we're just going to take this in a new direction, but we're going to keep the name. Doom is another example of a recent game where they just did this, where it's been long enough since the last Doom that, like, you know what, we're going to redo this and go back to the roots of the game. So, I mean, I know I'm biased on this, but I kind of give Bethesda a little more slack when it comes to handling older IPs because they have a pretty good track record with treating them right.
Yeah, man. Prey was a great game when it first started. You played a Native American, which is something you don't play very often. So that was impressive in itself. And you used like your spiritual powers and abilities in this ship that was alive and it was eating people as fuel. It was sick. And then they just did something completely different with the game with the second one about being a bounty hunter, which looked dope. The opening sequence, you're chasing dude through like a crowd of aliens. It was like super sick. And now they've just gone a completely different route where it feels like a combination of Bioshock and Dead Space. And that's very interesting. It's a very different take on Prey and a completely new look at the game. And I respect that because Arcane is taking on that, making the game their own. Getting away from what it originally was, but making the game their own. And I think that's really important that they're doing that. And that's smart of them. And I've been impressed with the trailers, but it's just, I don't play horror games. I don't play survival horror games. I don't play anything scary. Anything that makes me sweat for more than 10 minutes, I just don't play. I just don't. You will never see me on anything that it has to do with
not getting that Outlast 2, man.
Bro, I'm not getting that, bro. You look at my library. My library consists of RPG shooters, possibly a few sports games, and mostly single player experiences. Not one horror game in my library, bro. I can't do it.
You got to play Alien Isolation though. I mean,
no. And I'm an Aliens fan.
It's not as bad as you think. It really isn't. Like,
you know what I could play? If it was Aliens, like if it was an Aliens game where it was an action base where you could just run around and fight them and you don't have to worry about surviving, I could play it. The radar's on there, the beeping, the intensity, you're shooting stuff, that's cool. But survival, ducking, hiding, this big giant alien walking by, hissing, stomping, it's dark, you're hiding in lockers, it knows you're in a locker, it knows you're in there. I can't do it. I just can't. I can't do it.
If you like the Alien franchise, it's pretty much Alien 3. It's the real Alien 3 that we really needed.
I bet. Alien 3 was a disappointment. I'm a huge Alien, huge Predator fan. I grew up on those franchises, so I really love those old school franchises. I'm glad they're reviving them. I look forward to the new Predators movie. I hope it's good, and I look forward to Prometheus 2. I think it's called Paradise, something like that. So we'll see how those turn out. Hopefully they're not as bad as the previous ones. Yeah, man, but Prey was a great game, and I really hope that it turns out really good. When it came out, they had that, they had Darkness, the mafia son with the two eels on his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
cool, man. Yeah, man, they had some really good games at launch on the 360, man. Like 360 had it buzzing. Like I'm not gonna lie, when I look back at all of the Xbox games that released, if you really look at Microsoft's portfolio of release titles when their consoles come out, I don't think they've ever released a console that's had a bad launch lineup. Like Xbox launched with Halo, then you had 360 launched with Cameo. You had not Red Dead? What's the first
Gun?
Right, you had Gun. There was King Kong. I wasn't a big fan of King Kong, but you had Gun, you had King Kong, you had Cameo. There was a few indie titles like Backgammon.
I think it launched with Perfect Dark too.
Yeah, I think Perfect Dark. Yeah, it was amazing. And then
was Dead Rising 1 on that lineup or no?
No,
I think it was it Holiday?
I think it might have been Holiday Dead Rising. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I can't remember either. So long ago, 2005. But they had a great launch lineup, and then you turn around, you look at the Xbox One with their launch lineup with Rise and Dead Rising 3 and Forza 6, man. I mean Forza 5. It was really impressive, man. They had really great lineups. So Scorpio, I wouldn't be surprised if we got Scalebound and something else that obviously Forza 7 and a few other titles. I think the Scorpio, and that's not really a launch because those games would be on Xbox One, but it's a launch for the Scorpio if we get those games at 4K, and that's going to be pretty sick. So really, really, really hyped for those, and I can't wait for next year. Definitely excited. So that's it.
Funny that you bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
What games do you think they use to showcase the Scorpio? Since we already know the games like Scalebound and a couple other games. So what games do they use to showcase what Scorpio is?
They'll definitely use a game that they will show on the Xbox One first before we ever see it on Scorpio. Maybe something at this event.
Maybe the Crackdown. I feel like Crackdown would be a good idea because you could really see the difference.
Right. And then show the power difference on the Scorpio of the same game. And though they'll be the same and play the same, you're going to see a significant difference in the two power-wise, and it's going to blow everybody away. And people are going to want the Scorpio. That's how you get people to buy the Scorpio and stuff. You don't. I mean, clearly, if you have an Xbox One and you can't afford it, then you don't. You stick with your Xbox One and you still have the game. But you got to be able to make a point. And if that means damaging the presentation of the Xbox One to prove that the Scorpio is the most powerful system on the market and this is what you get when you pay for this type of console, that's what you have to do. Because I'm going to say right now, this console's R&D is through the roof. That's for sure. And they're going to want to make some money on this console. And I know normally I say console sales don't matter, but out the gate, they're going to want to sell the Scorpio. The Scorpio cannot flop out the gate.
Yeah. No, they gotta bring the pain with that. They gotta show it.
And I'm pretty sure they'll show Gears of War in 4K on that console as well. They'll probably show all the games that they've released already in 4K. They'll show, Halo upscaled or at 4K native, an update or something like that. There'll be a bunch of games that they'll show that will be able to run 4K natively with an update for the Scorpio. All of Microsoft's first party, I guarantee you, will be 4K updated. Forza will be 4K. Horizon will be 4K native. All of those games that they have put out already will be upscaled. I mean, not upscaled. They will be updated to be native, and things like that. And I think that makes sense for them to do that. It makes no sense for them not to do that, especially when the library between the Xbox One, the Slim, and the Scorpio are all shared games. There are no new experiences between the three, according to Microsoft. So, I mean, at some point, I think they will have a new experience. You have no choice. Once you start to move away from the Xbox One or the Slim, then you can only to truly take advantage of the power of the console, you can only make a game for that console that can't run on the other two. I think that's when they start to step into the next gen. And, they might make another console maybe in 3 or 4 years after Scorpio. And that'll probably be the end of the Xbox One generation. Because I still think the Scorpio is the Xbox One, just a more powerful Xbox One. Yeah. At least, according to what Phil and those guys are saying.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to consider it that, especially, the way that they're kind of talking about it, saying that, there won't be any special games or anything like that. So you would have to kind of group it in as being the Xbox One, or at least in the same generation.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm definitely excited for what they got to show next year. I can't wait to go to E3. Big shout out to Fame Entertainment and Nicodemus. They attended QuakeCon for TICGN, representing the TIC network. Very proud of those guys. They had a great time there. We have some great news on the site for you to go check out. So go to TICGN.com and check out the news on that site. Great staff, great writers there. Lots of awesome reviews. Thanks to our guy, B Money 101, great communications director. You're looking for reviews, man? It's there. Click on reviews and we got them all. Suicide Squad review is up. I don't want to talk about that. That's Anchor's job. He'll have that, I'm pretty sure, on Multiverse come Monday. And we will be back not this Friday, but the following Friday. This Friday, you'll get Top Shelf. So we are working our way back into the swing of things, and we have a few surprises and a few guests coming up on the show over the next rest of the year, and I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to get to October to talk about the Xbox event and see what they show off, as well as maybe have some surprises in October. We'll see. So again, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping out this evening and hanging out with us. We are making our way back to what we used to do and being more relevant and being more in control of things, and I'm very grateful for you guys for constantly and continuing to support TIC Networks, and TIC Podcast. Before I head out, make sure you jump on over to NLG after the show. Go hang out with those guys and check out the Basement Podcast. Those guys are awesome, really great friends of ours and big supporters of Tick, and we are big supporters of them. And it's important that we support each other. A lot of the communities don't support each other. A lot of the Xbox communities don't support each other. You'd be surprised. But it's important that we all support each other in what we do because we all have great shows, great personalities, and great and different perspectives. So definitely check out the NLG show. So we're going to finish up. We'll answer a few questions, maybe about 5 or 10 minutes worth of questions, and then we're going to head out, and that'll be it. So I'm going to end it for the MP3 crowd. When I get my laptop back, I will upload this to iTunes and things like that. I don't know when that's going to happen, maybe another week, but hopefully it'll be soon. So I'm your host, KLR Escalel, with B Money 101 and Anchorman V. We are Tick Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One, and we are off this planet. Peace. All right, guys. So, first of all, I want to apologize to Stu Jersey. He said the site's not loading. Just keep refreshing. There might be some issue with it, but usually it loads. There's some things that we're working on in the back end that we have to fix. No problem, no problem, guys. No problem, man. You guys have a great show. Any questions you guys have for us right now is the time to ask before we go ahead and head out. If we don't get any questions, we'll finish up the show, and we will see you guys next week. Again, we'll have Anchor with Multiverse on Monday. I will be back with Super Pod Shots on Wednesday, and then you will have Top Shelf Friday and Tick Podcast coming back next week. I will keep you guys updated on the next set of interviews coming up. Right now, we are working out our dates to have Mr. Albert Pinello on the show. We'll get to pick his brain about Xbox One Slim, as well as maybe get some inside information on what their thoughts were when they decided to go in the direction of Scorpio and 4K gaming. So I'm excited about that, man. I can't wait about it. I can't wait.
Same here, man.
Definitely excited about it.
All right.
Let's see here.
By the way, if you guys have not tried out the latest mods on Fallout 4, you need to do it. Sorry, no, seriously. I've been toying around with a couple different mod setups, and it's been an absolute blast. They have really, I've been very impressed with the support the PC gamers have given to the Xbox community for Fallout. Oh my gosh, some of these mods are ridiculous.
I stated in the Super Pod Shots that I don't think people realize that right now those mods are exclusively on the Xbox.
Yeah.
You can only play those things on the Xbox, and that's big if you're a Fallout fan. If you're a Fallout fan on PlayStation 4, I do apologize. I'm sorry, it sucks. But right now, Microsoft has got it locked down with both Ark. Ark is exclusively on the Xbox right now as well, and Fallout 4 mods. That's big.
Yeah, man. I mean, they've done tons of stuff. I think the big thing everyone was really worried about with mods was that whether or not they'd allow like certain types of content to be there. But I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They got Tracer voice lines from Overwatch. They got a Pix Out for Harambe mod. They got a Deadpool Xbox mod where you can play as Deadpool. Like, they got everything. It's all out here.
Yeah, it's insane. Let's see here. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast asks, will parody hold back Scorpio?
Hey, Enrique.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think parody will hold it back, at least on the Xbox side of things. Not even the PlayStation side of things. If anything, I think that they would have to worry about how big of a leap they make it between the Xbox One and the Scorpio. You don't want to be so far ahead that the Scorpio people have an advantage over the Xbox people. But I think that, let's be realistic here, okay? It's no different than PS4 having Battlefield at 900 and Xbox at 720. But there's a clear advantage if, for example, you're at 4K and the Xbox is at 900 or 720. Imagine Battlefield being, let's say Battlefield 1 comes out on Scorpio and Xbox, right? And you put the two in a group, and the game comes out at 720 on the Xbox One, but it's 4K native on the Scorpio. Do people understand that clarity plays a role in draw distance when attacking enemies or sniping enemies or seeing someone in a distance? and not being confused by debris or buildings or bushes or shrubs or anything like that, and having a crystal clear quality picture, being able to see people in the distance and how defined that is super important. It can be an advantage for anybody. I don't think the frames per second will change. I think if it's 30 for multiplayer, it will be 30 on the Scorpio. And that's where things get kind of held back. That's where parity plays a role. But I think if it's single player, you can put it at 60 and it could be 30 on the Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't think I think that from now on, what they'll end up doing is they'll start doing. I mean, for multiplayer games, they've really been pushing 60 FPS for everything. Like they've really been pushing it. I don't think we'll see a situation where they'll say it's 30 on the Xbox One and then in 60 on the Scorpio. I don't think they'll be able to do that, at least effectively. But I think we will see things like draw distance and such. I think that'll be a big player.
But you know something though, I said this too. You look at Forza Horizon 3, that's 30 frames per second all around. You know what I'm saying? And a game like that could be 60 frames per second on Scorpio.
Not on PC.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But not on PC. But are the two cross-play? Is the PC crowd risk again? Yeah. And it's 60? Well, then maybe I guess the frames per second won't play a role.
You can play with anybody. It doesn't matter.
And maybe it won't play a role, and maybe 60 frames per second will be okay when it comes to Scorpio, and at least for the racing game aspect. I don't know about the shooting game aspect.
No, I think it's the same kind of thing though, because with racing games, it's all about the frames per second is extremely important.
Right.
You have that reaction time and see everything else going down, and in a scenario where you're playing, I don't know, like if you're playing like Call of Duty, just to use a familiar aspect, I don't think they would make a scenario where, oh yeah, I know it's 60, but you can't bump it up to 90, even though you can do it. I mean, in terms of parity, look towards the PC versus console thing, and you'll see the situation.
Yeah. Juan Leon says the original Xbox had a reserve Kinect power to their system. Is it going to affect the One S? I don't think so. I don't think the One S.
The original Xbox One, or not? You mean he doesn't mean the original Xbox?
No, what he's saying is that the original Xbox One had reserve processing power for the Kinect, but is that reserve power that is not in the Xbox One S? Will it affect, I guess, the console if you connect the Kinect to it? I don't think it will at all. I don't think they even built that console with the Kinect in mind. That's why they're giving you an adapter.
I don't know. I think we should ask somebody who has one.
Yeah, we should.
Wouldn't the process power still need to be built into the console, though, since that's the option?
I don't know. I mean, it really wasn't. That's why they give you an adapter. I think if you think about it, I think maybe they just are relying on the processing power that's already in the Kinect. The Kinect has its own processing power, too. So, I don't know. We would, you know what? When we get Albert on the show, maybe we'll speak with Mike. No, I won't speak with Mike. When we speak with Albert, when we get Albert on the show, we will definitely bring a discussion up about that and how that works. I think that's actually a really good question. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast asks, what about a game, a Twitch-based shooter running at 60 frames per second on Xbox One S? Will we see native 4K and 60 frames per second? 6 teraflops won't get you 4K native and solid 60 frames per second. I think it won't get you 4K.
You don't have it.
Yeah, I think that they will have it, though. I think Microsoft are misleading people in a way that they think that what they are presenting is set in stone. Myself, Brandon, and Anchor already know that what Microsoft presented is not what they're going to release. They're going to go above that. They are. What they wanted, it's almost like you ask somebody, what do you want on your car? And somebody says, I want a V8 engine, and I want, twin turbos or whatever. But instead of putting a V8 engine in there, you come back and give them a V12 engine. And, you add NOS with those turbo twin, whatever. long story short, what Microsoft is trying to do is they're trying to get the bare minimum from developers, and then they're going to try to go above that. Now, Microsoft's not going to come out and say that. They're not going to let people know that. We overheard that at E3 from some people that work at AMD. Thanks to Anchorman V. So that's one of the things that we've heard, and we said that when we came back from E3. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people heard that show, and it probably went over people's heads. But when you think about what they talk about when it comes to the processing power of it being 320 gigabytes per second, it's not 320 gigabytes a second. It's above 320 gigabytes per second. They say over. The word over is put in front of that. So it's actually higher than 320. So, they will figure out a way to get 4K native 4K native and 60 frames per second. The whole point of that whole presentation was uncompromised. If you're gonna talk about being uncompromised, getting 4K gaming uncompromised, without any sacrifices, without any issues, you're gonna have to go above that. And Microsoft is gonna do their best and work with AMD to make sure that the Scorpio outputs 4K 60.
That's why we think it's going to cost $600 and not
Exactly.
$500 like
Exactly.
everybody is
Like
expecting.
everybody keep expecting. That's why I keep saying it's going to be $600, and everybody's going to be like 600. I'm telling you, they're not playing. They're going to put PC. They're not going to put PC gamers on notice because PC gamers can already outdo that. But if you're a PC gamer and you have a rig and you can build a rig for $900 to get 4K 60. But you can buy the console for $600 or trade in your Xbox and get it for $400 or $500. You might have to question, maybe I should just get the console for Xbox games. You know what I'm saying? Because it's cheaper and it does 4K 60, and we all know that consoles kind of run better than PC versions of games because of the optimization for the console. So that's a big deal in itself.
I think the only reason that'll hold PC gamers away from the console is the price of games.
Yeah, price of games. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yeah, price of games is the one thing that definitely holds PC gamers back. Wayne asks, does HDR 4K look better than just 4K? Brother, 1080p HDR looks better than just regular 4K.
Oh, dude. No joke. No joke. It looks a lot better.
It looks better. Trust me, I was at E3, and I got a chance to see Gears behind the scenes, and I saw it on the Xbox One S in HDR. Now, I'm pretty sure that was upscaled to 4K, but the difference between watching that on 4K on a PC and watching it on the Xbox One S, 4K upscaled in HDR, was a significant difference, and you notice it, and it was better. It just looks better. They're not doing anything special, but that color pop, Gears is, like I said before, Gears is a very grayish, brownish game. Very grayish, brownish. I've never seen so much color in Gears until you play that game in HDR. When you play Gears in HDR, you're going to see actual color in that game. It is going to be amazing. It really is.
Yep.
We're going to finish up in a few more questions, and then we're going to head out. Stu Jersey asks, Xbox should get streaming to YouTube. That would be a major key. Yes, they definitely need streaming to YouTube. We have a guy on our team. His name is Nick. Like I said before, big shout out to Nick and Fame coming back from QuakeCon. Did an excellent job there. Excellent network. Very proud of those guys. Very proud of the tip team. Nick does indie gaming nights on PlayStation 4. And one of the things right now he's doing on his own channel, but at some point I would like him to bring that to the Tick Network and things like that. And I want to have an Xbox thing as well where we can stream to YouTube via Xbox. So Microsoft needs to work out something with YouTube to definitely get that up on there, as well as Spotify. I know that Spotify is like exclusively on PlayStation. They got some type of deal, but I would love for that to happen. I mean, Groove is cool and all, but let's just be honest. Let's keep it real here. Oh man.
No, I'm fine. I got Pandora. That's my thing.
I like Pandora.
I'm a big fan of Pandora, so I like the randomized nature of it and stuff like creeping into your playlist that isn't stupid. I enjoy that. So I mean, I'm fine with having Pandora only. Spotify I've had mixed relationships with. So
Yeah.
but, see anything else?
Yeah, I'm going through the comments right now. I'm just trying to catch up with everything. I think that's pretty much it. I just want to touch on something that I just seen in the chat about how the Xbox One and the Xbox One Scorpio and the price differences and how 600 is not appealing for casuals. And that's absolutely true, but I don't think Microsoft is trying to appeal to casuals with this console. That's why they have 3 consoles. You know, people think that the Xbox Scorpio doesn't sell great. That's the end of Microsoft. People aren't understanding they're selling the Scorpio alongside the Slim and the Xbox One. That's 3 consoles on the market. You have 3 tiers. How many times have I called the Xbox One the base console? 1,000 times. If you ever listen to Super Pod Shots, you know I've called the Xbox One a base console. I've been calling it a base console for like 4 or 5 months now. So the Xbox One S is your mid-tier, the Scorpio is your premium, and everybody can't afford a premium, but you can afford an S, and you can afford a One. So the casuals will go out and continue to buy the Xbox One Slim, and I think that will eventually replace the Xbox One. The Slim plays, UHD movies. You have a Blu-ray player in there, and it upscales to 4K, and that's great. And a lot of people are gonna like it. It has HDR, and if you have an HDR TV, you really, truly benefit when it comes to that console. But for the big hardcore guys like us that are listening to the show, and the guys that are on the podcast, we're gonna get the Scorpio. We're gonna find any way possible to get it to have premium gaming on a premium device, and just be amazed at what comes out on the Scorpio. So I'm really hyped for it. I'm excited about it. And I think that's what people have to keep in mind. The fanboys want this stuff to fail. They don't even recognize what Microsoft is doing. And that's what's disappointing the most. When something is so clear in your face that you're blinded by your animosity and hate towards something and that you want to see it fail, you don't even recognize what's actually happening and what's so simple about it. So Microsoft has a plan in place. They're doing a great job, and I can't wait to get these guys on the show to talk more in depth about what they're doing and what their plans are in the future. So that's it for our show this week, man. I'm very grateful for everybody stopping in. Having Brandon back on the team and getting the scheduling down right is super important, and I'm glad he's back, and having Anchor here as well, and trying to get the podcast going back to where it's supposed to be, because we know that you guys miss Tick and things like that, but you also, like I said, you have a lot of great other shows. Gamer Knows Best. You have NLG. There's a few guys out there. You have the
Radio Arcade.
Yep. You have those guys. You also have the BGST crew out there. They do their thing and stuff like that. So look, you get no hate from Tick. You never get hate from Tick and things like that. We recognize everybody. Everybody's contributions are just as important as ours and stuff. But we know that Tick brings something different to the podcast scene, and you guys know that. That's why you're here. So we're very grateful for that. We'll continue to do that. So again, I'm your host, KLY Keller, the last on the planet Xbox with B Money 101 and Anchorman V. We'll be back in 2 weeks, next week, Friday, not this Friday. And we'll be back with another great show, man. So keep it locked here. Make sure you tune in to Multiverse Podcast tomorrow. You have Writer's Block Podcast on Tuesday, Super Pod Shots on Wednesday, and then Top Shelf this Friday with Tech Podcast the Friday after. And, that's how we're going to do it, man. We are streamlining our network, and make sure you check out TICGN.com, the place where the elite go to get their news. We're working on that to make sure you guys have a place to chat and get those forums going, as well as merchandise and a few other things. I don't want to keep rambling on, but there's a lot of things we're working on, so we're very, very busy. Just keep it locked to TIC, man. You won't be disappointed. I love you guys. You guys have a great night, and we are off this planet. Peace.